Lots to talk about here, of course. We know President Zelensky meeting Trump today, along with 7 European leaders, to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. It comes after the US president met with Putin in Alaska, of course, on Friday, as we covered here live on the programme, restoring relations with Russia, but failing to arrange a ceasefire. Let's speak to the Sun's editor-at-large, Harry Cole, live in Washington with the backdrop of the White House there as well. Harry, good afternoon to you. And this, of course, is, this is pretty pivotal stuff. Friday was a big moment. This is potentially decisive, one might say.
Well, to temper some expectations, I'm not sure what necessarily it is. I think there's going to be another meeting down the line before we get any proper white smoke on what actually this peace deal that's on the table really looks like and whether the Ukrainians can swallow it. The key issue on Friday was, one side of this war, the battered, invaded side, were not present in the room while their future was carved up by 2 global superpowers. So now, we will see, whether there is actually any mileage in this. It's all very well talking about what Putin wants, what he's demanding, what the president's hoping to get out of it, Donald Trump's hoping to get out of it, but what actually will the Ukrainians be able to swallow?
Indeed, and of course the choreography of this is going to be interesting. Who speaks first? I mean, we've had the Putin and the Trump thing. Will it be a Zelensky-Trump one-to-one first and then a Trump with all the others? And then, how do you sense or know that's going to pan out, Harry?
Normally these sort of summits are months in the making and stitched up, as we talked about, I think, on Friday, stitched up far in advance. Communiques are agreed by Sherpas and people. This has been thrown together on the hoof over the weekend. There's a slight air of chaos to the whole thing, I have to say, in the fact that we know that Zelensky will arrive, have a one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump. The Europeans are coming en masse with the head of NATO, with the head of the EU. 6 or 7 leaders will be joining Zelensky. Now, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, was out and about yesterday saying this is nothing to do with stopping Zelensky being bullied by Trump like he was in February. Yeah. There's sort of rather shocking scenes that we saw play out live on television in the Oval Office, just yards from here. That was almost a defining moment of Trump's early second term. I don't expect we're going to see those sort of fireworks today, but the Americans are saying very clearly, look, we invited the Europeans. They are here because this is more their problem than it is ours, and we want them to be key and central to the policing of any peace or ceasefire and the future arrangements between between Ukraine and Russia, rather than the Americans. But the Americans have said they will underwrite. They will somehow provide some guarantee. For the first time, Steve Witkoff, the peace envoy, Trump's semi-controversial right-hand man in all of this, said to CNN yesterday that they will. This is the first time the Americans have said this publicly. They will underwrite it. What that looks like remains to be seen. Will it be arms? Will it be money? Will it be support from the air? The unlikely thing I think we're ever going to see is American troops policing this ceasefire in Ukraine.
Indeed. And of course, there is an overarching argument that many will advance on this, Harry, and that is that Ukraine have nothing to concede. They were the invaded country. You cannot just hand territory to a foreign power that took his troops and tanks into that region. So there can't be, based on that entrenched view that Zelensky certainly publicly currently has, and Putin clearly wants some of that land, then this can't be resolved based on that, unless there's another kind of magic rabbit to pull out of the hat.
Look, publicly the line now is, you cannot redraw borders by force, but we all know that's nonsense. Putin didn't fire a shot to take Crimea. He's been meddling in the Donbass since 2014, and he hasn't taken all of it. That's where I think this is going to come down to. The most interesting thing, I think, that Zelensky said yesterday, if you strip back his sort of, quite pugnacious, quite bullish talk about not giving up land, he actually said, well, the negotiation needs to be on current borders. Currently, Ukraine still hold 30% of the Donbass region, roughly, give or take. It's they're locked in a sort of 1914 to 18 style inch by inch quagmire there at the moment, but they currently still do hold about a third. It's an industrial rich area, it's mineral rich, it's a very important part. There's a very reason Putin wants it. Now, all the mood music we're hearing and all of the softening in language from world leaders, Keir Starmer especially, has gone from saying that Ukraine could never give up land to it's up to Ukraine to decide. So, look, there's really clearly room for negotiation. 3.5 years of this war has taken a toll on a horrific toll on the Ukrainian people, horrific toll on Russian young men as well. But there is clearly room for negotiation there. And until there, as Donald Trump said on Friday, until there's a deal, there is no. Until there's a deal, there is no deal. But behind the scenes, very much territory is on the table.
Indeed. We're going to be back with you, of course, later in the day, Harry. Thank you for that, Harry Cole, editor at large at The Sun. He's there in the briefing room at the White House, ready for when the post-meeting conferences begin. You have Zelensky, you have Trump, you have the EU leaders that are there as well. This is like pretty pivotal stuff. Keir Starmer, General Secretary of NATO, Mark Rutte is there. Emmanuel Macron from France, the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. You have the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Finnish President Alexander Stubb is there, and of course the European Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen. This is a big old cast. Now, where do the cards fall on this one? Is this a case, not publicly, I don't imagine, even though apparently Zelensky's going to wear a nice jacket, not publicly, but I sense Trump is going to tell him, you want peace? You're going to have to give this up. He might say, but don't worry, we can cut our own deal that will be advantageous to you when it comes to how you deal with America or commerce or industry or trade, whatever it happens to be. Is it going to, I'm thinking aloud on this, is it going to be something like that we see? And we might not even hear it explicitly. Because I just can't see how Zelensky can agree to any kind of deal if it involves concessions based on what he said. And you can, as Harry was just saying there, you know, that you can't redraw borders. Well, borders are redrawn, and there's history to prove that to be the case. That will almost always be the case. So how do they solve the... You've got two immovable positions. Trump, Putin, I want some of that. And Zelensky, you're not getting any of that. Both unequivocal. So on the face of it, they might as well not have a meeting because it can't be solved. Well, clearly, there must be some wiggle room on one side or the other or both. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. We'll watch with interest